Hello, and welcome to my first YouTube video, sort of. I'm recording this because I posted a poll on Instagram a little while ago about whether or not I should do a breakdown video of my reel, A Glimpse of the Past. So here I am, recording a breakdown video for A Glimpse of the Past, as per the poll has requested. So. A large majority of you wanted to learn about sound design, VFX, color, and how I just generally put this piece together. So I'm going to go over that with you guys today. As you guys have seen in the first little bit of this video, I just basically overlaid the original video, the first minute or so, into the intro. And now I'm gonna go down further and break down the video with you guys as well. So I'm just sitting here in front of my computer right now to show you guys everything that's kind of gone into this video. So I'm gonna open up the timeline here, and basically you're gonna see a lot of if you don't know what you're looking at, then maybe this isn't for you. But so obviously I've got my video layers on the top, V1 through V7. I do like stacking specific layers, but typically if it's just VFX, I'll leave them all labeled as yellow on top layers. And then I just added the cropped bars in the video just for more of a cinematic look, I guess you could say. So there it is shortly. There's it without bars. And here it is with bars. So obviously you can see the difference. Yeah, a lot of it gets cut off. A lot of the video gets cut off in it, but if you shoot with these bars being added in post in mind, you won't have an issue. So that's kind of the first thing I did, but I compiled all my footage and then I threw this crop on the timeline really quick, and then based off of what footage fit with this crop is what I decided to use. Anything that didn't, I kept out of the project. So I still have, I had a lot of footage to use in this, but if it didn't fit with the crop, I just didn't use it. So the first thing I did, I just started compiling video footage, and then just placing everything on the timeline in a manner that I thought, worked well. And it was at that point when I kind of realized, oh my god, I need to actually look for some music. So I found a quick track. I divided it up in the beginning for spots that I liked, so you can hear it now. We'll just solo these two tracks, and I'll play it really quickly. So I really liked the kind of I guess you could say drama in this track. There's a lot of emotion and just general makes it tense. I wasn't going for a really big upbeat type of reel. I wanted there to be some sort of I don't know, I wanted to make it different. So I just didn't want to, I didn't like the reels to cinematic songs. I didn't like the reels to upbeat pop music. I didn't like the reels to what's that song by Odessa? Outro. No, M83. Outro by M83. So if you look up a lot of reels, that's just the song that people use for everything, not to mention it's copywritten. So I wanted to use a different song. So I found this one, which was really kind of dark in a way to me. But it also portrayed a lot of emotion and a lot of it still adds that cinematic experience that people are looking for in reels, at least in my opinion. And not to mention, a lot of the stuff I've shot is pretty dynamic. So I think that a lot of what has to do with the music, so a big part of the reel was definitely the music, cutting to the beat, all that kind of stuff. That's pretty normal. Shot selection was pretty huge. And then we'll go over VFX now too. My next process in this, in creating this reel, was to start coloring the footage after I had assembled a lot of it. So I, after picking some of my favorite shots that worked well, shots that didn't work so well, then I started to color everything, and then the project really started to come together. So what I do for color, I do primary adjustments on the video layers themselves, and then after primary adjustments are done, I'll add an adjustment layer, and then the LUTs that I create will go on the adjustment layer, along with other like fine adjustments. This one, I think you can see that I did this, like original footage looked like garbage, and then I really cleaned it up in secondary adjustments here. So yeah, this ink footage especially, it just looks like trash to start with, and then when we bring it in to secondary adjustments with a LUT and exposure corrections, all that kind of thing, exposure, color, temperature, tint, all that kind of stuff, that really gets brought to life as well. What are some other good color? This stuff here, actually. So, when I shot this, there's a really cool trick. When I create my own LUTs that I do, I just bring them into Photoshop and I export them. Like I export a still frame from this, we'll use this one for example. So when I'm coloring clips, I take a still frame from the project itself. So if you go here to export frame, Control-Shift-E, you can export a still frame. So I'll just do that really quickly. And then I can just, say this is the leaf reference. And then I can save it to wherever I want. And then I'll bring this into Photoshop and I'll color it in Photoshop, export it as a cube file, and then bring it back into Premiere. And then it's a LUT. So, like I said, I'll do primary adjustments on the video layer themselves. But then on the adjustment layer, I throw on my secondary adjustments. So that's what it looks like with just primary corrections done. And then with the LUT on it, it looks completely different, which is crazy. It adds like a whole nother dimension to what the footage actually looks like. And fun fact about this shot, I actually shot this in my house. I didn't go anywhere for it. That was just in my house. So just got a little spray bottle, sprayed the leaves on this plant, and then I think I did this with a 24mm f1.4. So yeah, there's the before and after on the coloring there. But also too, like on the adjustment layer, it's to make everything uniform so that the whole project kind of flows together. In the beginning, you'll see in the actual video, you'll see that there's very little color differentiating from shot to shot. Obviously very intentional. Sometimes the colors wouldn't fit, so I'd have to create a sequence and grade it in a way that matches that shot. Yeah, so that's pretty well color. Not a whole lot there. VFX, I'm using a lot of lens flares, I'm using a lot of light hits, I'm using a lot of light leaks, film burns, that sort of thing. So I also have some anamorphic. Here you'll see this light that's coming across the screen here. It may look like it's from these lights, but it's actually not. That's completely added in post. And if we go back a few frames prior, to introduce this light even sooner so that the eye thinks that it's a light, I've actually added it in up here as well, and it kind of just brings in, kind of fades in slowly into this shot here where it's a lot more prominent. So we have this shot here, and then the light you'll start to see slowly fade in right here across the screen, and then it gets brighter and brighter, and then boom, we're in the next shot. And then right as the lights kind of are in line with this this beam here, we see that this light also gets brighter as it as they start to reveal themselves from the ropes here. Just sort of like fine details like that. I'm getting, I'm going to be putting in a sequence just with VFX shots that I used. So here there's one coming up from the bottom underneath my eyes. There's like a little light leak coming in, fading into this shot of the Corvette logo, and then into this one here we've got some vertical anamorphic lines as well. Going into this shot, we have a light leak here in the corner, followed by it in the next shot. So I'm really trying to make like a continuous blend with my shots in order to make them seem like it was all shot at once. Here I added some dust effects just to make the shot come to life a little more. I'll show you it with and without. No dust. So here we go. There's no dust. And then there's the shot with dust. So it just makes it a little more, interesting. It doesn't translate on screen that heavy, so when you're adding VFX like this, just keep it pretty simple. Here I added another anamorphic lens flare, and then I also used some of my prism in the right hand corner here. I have a triangular prism that I used in order to create light effects when I'm shooting things. And then here I just placed my 24mm camera lens in front of a computer. You can actually kind of see the lights right here, but it also just gives it like a little more, I don't know, just makes the shot more interesting. A little more kind of movement in the shot as well. And again, with the light leak, I'm blending the shots into one another in order for them to make it seem like they're more cohesive. Another anamorphic lens flare here, just kind of coming down the screen as if it's from these lights up here, but it's clearly not. I added a light hit here on this shot of the church, just to give it a little more, I don't know, flair, I guess. It's hard because when you're shooting things, you need to, when you're shooting things, you're not thinking about, the effects that you're going to add later necessarily. So it's all about finding the right effect that works for the shot at that point. Here again, we've already gone over this. Here, I added a lens flare, a light leak into this sheet music shot. And then it also just kind of comes across the screen as we cut into the next shot, which again makes everything seem a lot more cohesive. Here I just added a quick light hit, nothing special. Here I added the first film burn of the entire project. So remember when I was talking about color and how creating sequences because this color doesn't fit in with the rest of the project. So this shot was the first one that I thought didn't really fit with my color palette that I was trying to go for. So I ended up creating an entire sequence just for these couple shots. So we've got an extreme wide, we got excuse me, we've got an extreme wide, we've got a little bit of a closer shot here, just a wide shot, but again keeping the same colors. And then as we move forward, we've got the sunset and the waves coming up, and then the film burn here with the orange to kind of keep the color palette steady, and then into the shot of the fire. So I'm really trying to craft just a visual story here of the events from the drone shots into the shot of the water coming up on shore into the fire. So it kind of just tells a little bit of a story there, not too much, but just something to keep the audience kind of engaged. And then here I'm overlaying, you probably can't really see it all that well, but here I'm overlaying just a quick shot of some code being written. It's pretty hard to tell, and chances are you probably wouldn't have noticed in this shot at least, but it gets written out here on screen. as we go. And then in this shot, you should definitely notice it because we're going to place the Gigabyte and the GeForce text in between the code as it gets written up, as you can see. So it'll go from this bottom screen where you should notice it, and then into in between these two shots here. And then again with the code, I just felt like these shots needed something a little extra. They're nice on their own, but I just really wanted to add in some code in order to make the shot unique. I didn't know how to do it at first. I was really trying to think of a way, you know, adding more lighting effects like this stuff at the top here, this horizontal anamorphic flare. But then when I thought, you know what goes well with computers, and that was coding, I decided to add in the text overlay of the coding as well. And that's just a blending mode that you can change. As long as the background is black, you can just change it to screen, and then this text will be there. More ink shots, nothing special. I added a light hit and a vertical anamorphic flare on this one. And then this is actual footage. We put plexiglass in front of the camera lens so that we can get the sparks flying at this. This was shot about 3 years ago. So just a cool shot, really nothing else. So yeah. And then I added in just a quick, just a crossfade on this shot, but just a quick one. So instead of having it the default length, I changed it to a shorter crossfade, and then brought in this shot here with light leaks to kind of replicate how close these sparks were coming to the camera. If we go frame by frame, we've got this here. So in order to try and replicate this kind of look, I added the crossfade with the light leaks here in order to kind of replicate how close those sparks are actually coming to the camera. So the color on these guys actually sucked. Yeah, it was horrible. We'll show you really quickly. So this was the before I graded this shot. So this is after primary corrections. The water looks super purple, and the colors just aren't where I want them to be. So if we go back into the shot, we turn it on, and that's the final graded shot. This color palette works a lot better with the look I was trying to achieve for this drone shot, and just to match it continually throughout the rest of the video as well. It was kind of matched as well. This is some DJ stuff that I shot at home, also in quarantine. So yeah, visually that's how everything was done there. And now I'm just going to dive in quickly to audio effects, which is probably the most important part of the video. So audio, most important part definitely of the video. If you haven't watched this video with headphones, I would suggest you do so. I'm gonna put in just the full-length video without music, just with the sound effects, and you guys will be able to see, you know, the sound design that kind of went into this. A lot of these effects I made myself, and then kind of EQ'd them, and you know, just tried to fit them into the project as best I could. A lot of these sounds were also just nat sound that I captured on location, so that's another thing people should be taking into consideration when they're shooting, is just capturing nat sound of their surroundings, because you never know when you're going to need it. So nat sound of the surroundings is definitely one thing I would suggest, and then two is sound of the action that's happening. And then also too, like if you're looking through the lens and you're looking at your environment, actually a really good example of this would be this shot right here. As I was shooting this on the day, it's close to a busy road, the wind was going, the flags are moving, so you wouldn't hear the flags in the original shot, and there was no way I could get nat sound, so I had to create a flag sound by myself during the duration of this project. So sound design itself took me about 3 days on this project, just because I wanted everything to be kind of fit together a little perfectly. It was kind of crazy, but you know, it worked out in the end. So visually, you want to be able to see what's happening, but you also want to be able to hear what you're seeing, if that makes sense at all. So I'm gonna overlay just the video here, just sound effects only right now. All right, everybody, thanks for watching the A Glimpse of the Past breakdown video. If you liked it, let me know. If you want to see more of these types of videos, let me know in the comments. Or even if you just want me to make YouTube content, just let me know. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.